When fighters and Dana White buried the Hatchet top 10, picture this. You're seated in a packed arena, the energy is electrifying, and the air is thick with anticipation. Fighters step into the octagon, ready to showcase their skills in a brutal ballet of punches, kicks, and submission holds. But beyond the physical combat, there's another, often unseen battle unfolding between the fighters and the very man who promotes them. Dana White, with a net worth of around $500 million as of 2024, is the formidable president of the UFC, the world's premier mixed martial arts organization. Known for his no-holds-barred approach, White is as famous for his public clashes with fighters as he is for his role in building the UFC into a global powerhouse. White's journey in the UFC began long before its sale to William Morris Endeavor in 2016 for an astounding $4 billion, a deal that saw Dana retaining a 9% stake. Welcome to Fulton Draper. Today, we're exploring those moments when the heated disputes between White and his fighters transformed into remarkable reconciliations, providing a behind-the-scenes look that's just as compelling as the fights themselves. So, let's dive into the top 10 times when fighters and Dana White buried the Hatchet. Number 10. The Clash of Titans, Dana and GSP. Let's start with one of the most iconic figures in UFC history, Georges St-Pierre. After his controversial win over Johnny Hendricks at UFC 167, Dana White was furious. He lambasted the Nevada State Athletic Commission and made it clear he thought GSP had lost the fight. Does anybody here think that Johnny Hendricks didn't win the fight? It's about damage. This is a fight. I'm blown away that Georges St-Pierre won that fight, White ranted. Despite the heated words, GSP, ever the professional, showed up battered but composed, signalling his willingness to move forward. Over time, White's respect for St-Pierre's legacy overshadowed the controversy, leading to GSP's triumphant return against Michael Bisping, proving that respect in the UFC can withstand even the harshest criticisms. Number 9. The roller coaster of Anderson Silva. Another legend, Anderson Silva, faced Dana White's wrath after his bizarre performance against Demian Maia at UFC 112. Silva's antics in the octagon, where he taunted and danced more than he fought, led White to publicly apologize to fans, calling the event an absolute disgrace and embarrassment for the UFC. Silva's manager later issued an apology, and Silva himself sought to mend fences. The journey to reconciliation included several candid conversations and a mutual understanding of Silva's impact on the sport. Eventually, Silva's legacy as one of the greatest fighters in UFC history was cemented, with White acknowledging his unique talent and contribution to MMA. Number 8. The conundrum of Conor McGregor. When we talk about burying the Hatchet, Conor McGregor's name inevitably comes up. The charismatic Irishman has had his fair share of run-ins with Dana White, including his infamous retirement tweets and disputes over fight negotiations. One of the most notable incidents was when McGregor was pulled from UFC 200 for failing to fulfill his promotional duties. The tension was palpable, with both sides standing firm. However, McGregor's star power and undeniable drawing ability led to a reconciliation, culminating in the blockbuster fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Despite the ups and downs, Dana and Conor have managed to maintain a relationship built on mutual respect and the understanding of what each brings to the UFC. Number 7. The redemption of Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is another fighter who has had a tumultuous relationship with Dana White. Known for his outspokenness, Diaz has never shied away from criticizing the UFC, particularly regarding fighter pay and promotion. After his stunning victory over Conor McGregor at UFC 196, Diaz and White clashed over negotiations for the rematch. Yet, the mutual respect for Diaz's skills and his ability to draw crowds led to a reconciliation. The eventual rematch at UFC 202 was a massive success, proving that even the most vocal critics can find common ground with Dana White when it benefits both parties. Number 6. The saga of Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz and Dana White's relationship is a saga in itself. Once close friends, their relationship soured due to contract disputes and personal differences. The tension escalated to the point where a boxing match between the two was even considered. Despite the animosity, there were moments of reconciliation, particularly when Ortiz was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Dana acknowledged Tato's contributions to the sport and Ortiz reciprocated with respect White's role in building the UFC. Their relationship remains complex, but the moments of burying the hatchet highlight the respect they ultimately have for each other. Number 5. The case of Frank Mir. Frank Mir's performance against Mirko Cro Cop at UFC 119 drew harsh criticism from Dana White. White was disappointed in Mir's performance, likening him to the Grinch and even suggesting that Mir could be cut from the roster. Despite the tough words, Mir continued to be a mainstay in the UFC, with White acknowledging his resilience and contributions to the heavyweight division. The respect between the two grew, particularly as Mir's career wound down, and he transitioned to other opportunities within the MMA world. Number 4. The enigma of Chris Cyborg. The relationship between Chris Cyborg and Dana White has been anything but smooth. From public spats to disputes over contract negotiations, the friction was evident. After Cyborg's dominant performance against Felicia Spencer at UFC 240, White downplayed her victory, questioning whether she was past her prime. This led to a complete breakdown in their professional relationship. However, time and mutual respect have a way of healing wounds. Cyborg's departure from the UFC was handled with more professionalism than expected, and White has since acknowledged her talent and contribution to women's MMA. Number 3. The resilience of Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes, despite being one of the most dominant champions in UFC history, faced criticism from Dana White when she pulled out of her UFC 213 title fight against Valentina Shevchenko due to chronic sinusitis. White's comments were blunt, questioning her readiness to fight. However, Nunes' continued dominance and professionalism in the octagon led to a change in tune from White. Over time, he has come to recognize and celebrate her as one of the greatest female fighters of all time, showing that performance and consistency can mend even the toughest criticisms. Number 2. The journey of Jon Jones. Jon Jones's relationship with Dana White has been a roller coaster. From being labelled a sport killer after UFC 151's cancellation, to numerous public disputes over legal issues and fight negotiations, the tension has been high. Despite the conflicts, Jones's talent and drawing power have always brought him back into the fold. White's respect for Jones's abilities and the potential for big fights have led to multiple reconciliations, showcasing the complex but enduring relationship between a promoter and one of the sport's most talented fighters. Number 1. The comeback of Nate Quarry. Nate Quarry's public feud with Dana White centered around fighter pay and the treatment of athletes. Quarry was vocal about his criticisms, leading to a strained relationship. However, over time, both parties found common ground. Quarry's advocacy for fighter rights didn't go unnoticed, and White's acknowledgement of Quarry's contributions to the sport helped mend their relationship. The mutual respect grew, showing that even the most critical voices can find a place of understanding and respect within the UFC. The power of respect and reconciliation. The UFC is a world where emotions run high, both inside and outside the octagon. Dana White's relationship with his fighters is often as dynamic and unpredictable as the fights themselves. While public spats and harsh criticisms make headlines, it's the moments of reconciliation that truly define the sport. These stories of burying the hatchet highlight the mutual respect that ultimately exists between Dana White and his fighters. It's a testament to the resilience, professionalism, and passion that drives everyone involved in the UFC. So, what do you think? Do these stories of reconciliation change your perspective on the UFC and Dana White? Which fighter's story resonated with you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the world of MMA, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Fulton Draper for more in-depth stories and analysis. Thanks for watching.